Hi everybody and welcome back to Veloci and MTM Studios. Today we're going to be doing a replacement recoil. This happens to be a 390 black Honda, and so we're going to show you a little bit of that. We've had a number of requests on engine parts because we sell quite a few into the US market. MTM and Veloci provides aftermarket replacement parts for Honda motors. They're not OEM, these are all aftermarket. And so today I'm going to show you a few of the details behind replacing the recoil. This is probably one of the easiest items to replace. There's usually only a couple of flange bolts, 3 in this case. There are a number of different types of flange bolts, and I'll get into some of that in a minute. But at its core, all you're replacing is the recoil. Part of the recoil is this metal shroud, your pulley, and your cord. It all comes in one. And in most cases, you're going to need to replace the pawl as well. This is also called the starter cup. When you're replacing a recoil, make sure that you get the right size. That doesn't just go for the cup or the pawl, it also goes for the recoil. In this case, this is a 120, so it's much smaller. You can see that wouldn't fit on this, so make sure you get the right size. Also, one of the cool things about motors is that you can orient the handle to pull in one direction or the other. And it works by these dog ears flipping out into these two cavities. And in doing so, when those dog ears flip up, it catches this portion of the pawl and it rotates. So this is a fixed portion on the flywheel. When replacing aftermarket recoils, the one thing you want to make sure is not just that you have the same parts going on the same machine, but in some cases, like some of the newer GX390s, they'll have a spacer either on the pawl or there are spacers available at the recoil portion. So when I put this back on, if my flange bolts are too long, it could impede the flywheel. And you don't want your flywheel hitting the flange bolts. Flange bolts come in all shapes and sizes. On this particular model, it requires a 6mm, which is the diameter of the bolt, by 12mm. This is another flange bolt for a different series of Honda motor. And you can see that this is an 8mm by 30mm. Make sure that when you're replacing hardware, you're replacing it with like hardware. There's really only 2 sockets you're going to need. One would be either a 12mm or the infamous 10mm that you probably lost. I like deep well because when you're replacing, you can see how you want your bolt, you have to get all the way in. So a standard socket with either 10mm or 12mm would do it. Let's pull off your flange bolts, make sure we're replacing the correct recoil. So now we're going to put this back on. I'm more of a fan of having the ripcord over on the side of the start on and off switch. Take my 6mm flange bolt, get him started. I always laugh when people replace hardware with a hammer drill and they cross thread it and they wonder why they can't get it out later, and then they ruin the shroud and then it becomes a more expensive project next time around. Stuff isn't made to last forever, but you can at least take care of it when you're putting things back together. Some of these you might want an extension. I don't usually go with it, but that's it. So now when I'm holding it, I can put my right hand here and I can pull it off to the side. Some people will mount it with the ripcord over on this side. Use your preference. Good to go. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Be sure to subscribe and follow. Leave some comments down below if you want to see some more videos. We'll see you soon.